Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, what is going on? Welcome back to another 1 nil show. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. And we have got plenty to go through today. Ten Hag, we know Man United have supposedly just had an interview with him. Is he going to be the next Man United coach, or is Pochettino, whose name gets thrown around, the better fit? We'll talk about that. Lots of stuff happening in the World Cup qualifiers as well. And is Barcelona back? Xavi's taken over. They're doing well. They've got to sign 2 new players. Are they back? Tune into the 1 nil show. I'll see you guys on the other side of the intro. Let's get it. Ladies and gentlemen, that's right. Thank you for returning back to the 1 nil show. Plenty to get through today. We've got World Cup qualifiers. The Socceroos played this morning. Another 1 nil defeat to Saudi Arabia. But the game and our chances of qualifying through the group stage was already pretty much finished after the game to Japan. I might have a video coming out soon about that, about Socceroos and all that sort of stuff and Graham Arnold. But this morning, there's some absolute scenes in the World Cup qualifiers. As we know, Italy knocked out. They're not making the World Cup. Crazy. The Euro champions, they're not making it. Portugal versus Macedonia this morning. Portugal got a 2-0 win. Macedonia had an opportunity to make their first World Cup ever, and unfortunately didn't work out, but it was a good effort. They beat Italy. They had something to live for. They've got to remember this sort of journey for the rest of their lives. But Portugal, Cristiano Ronaldo makes it probably his last World Cup, which is pretty crazy to see. Then we've got in the Algeria this morning, 118th minute, they cop a goal right at the end to get kicked out by Cameroon. Then we've got Senegal versus Egypt, Mane versus Salah. Egypt, penalty shootout. Senegal fans are flashing their lasers at the Egypt players. Mo Salah's taken up a penalty, and he's got these green lasers in his face, looking like he's in the Matrix, and they've got the keeper with green lasers in his face as well. I don't know how they let it continue, but I tell you what, African football, it's something different. It's unbelievable. Nigeria fans stormed the pitch. They failed to qualify for the first World Cup in 16 years. There's all these Nigeria fans on the pitch looking like Buddy Franklin's just kicked his 1,000th goal. It's unbelievable scenes. The World Cup qualifiers. People don't like the international break, but when it gets to a pointy end like this, it's unbelievable. It offers you some of the best football there is. So plenty of that to get through. World Cup qualifiers. Give me your early World Cup winner prediction down below. Socceroos, we haven't made it through the group stage. We have to go play UAE in a qualifier, and then probably play, if we win that, try and play someone from South America, which could be like a Chile or someone like that. I don't know how good it's going to go for us. I don't like Socceroos' chances to make it. There's plenty of talking points there. Graham Arnold, I'd let him just see out the rest of this journey, because what's the point of getting rid of him now? But as soon as we officially can't make the World Cup, he's got to go. Bring in someone new. Give them that fresh 4-year cycle. Yes, okay, the category might not be there, but it's almost. But Graham Arnold has got a lot to play into why we haven't succeeded. Okay, yes, some of the players, it's not up to scratch, but the Socceroos, let Graham Arnold finish it off. Let him unofficially be able to make the World Cup. Get rid of him once we don't. Bring in a new manager, and a new manager that's just a little bit different. Okay, Popovich and Muscat, I love them. I don't think Muscat will say yes to the Socceroos job. He's already probably doing better for himself. He's coaching Yokohama in Japan. I think Tony Popovich will most likely be the new Socceroos coach. But be a little bit different. Nothing against Popper. I want you to say a victory. But be a little bit different. Come on, Bielsa. Supposedly Bielsa's got the Bolivia job. So Bolivia reacted quicker than the Socceroos did when they saw him on the market. I'm not too sure how it's going to work out. But Socceroos, let me know down in the comments below. What would you do different to help the Socceroos? Now, speaking of managers, we're going to get to the main topic point of the week, main topic point of the show. Plenty of to get through with this one. I'm a Man United fan. I've been happier the last couple of weeks because Man United, we haven't played. It's felt good. It's felt good. It's like, oh my, it's been more relaxing. It's been more, just, I don't know, something's in the air. I walk around and I look at my Man United shirts and I think of the good memories, because I don't have the bad memories in the recent times to get me down. But besides that, I love Man United. I want them to play every week. But besides that, there's all the reports coming out that United have held interviews with Ten Hag, and supposedly it's looking like Ten Hag will be the new manager. Hopefully that's true. I hope it's really true, because I think Ten Hag is great. I was all Pochettino in from the very beginning. I predicted at the start of this sort of season, I said, Pochettino will get sacked by PSG at the end of the year. By that time, Man United won't have, Ole, or we won't have a manager set in stone by that point. Pochettino comes in. I was very, very heavy on Pochettino. I'd still like Pochettino to come in. I know people look at his time at PSG as a failure and, what's he really done there. He's got an unbelievable team, which, yes, I agree. I thought he'd do a lot better, but I just don't think it's a fit for Pochettino. I think it screams a Zinedine Zidane team, a Galacticos. It's a Harlem Globetrotters sort of team that I think Zidane is the man to take over PSG. But focusing on Man United, I'm going to look at Ten Hag. I'm going to compare Ten Hag and Pochettino. Which players will thrive under each manager, and which two of these managers, what pros and cons can they bring to both to Manchester United? We've got Louis van Gaal coming out and sort of warning Ten Hag, saying that you want to go to a sporting club, not to a sort of franchise or a merchandise sort of thing where the business is made just for money and just for profit and just for benefits, whereas you want to go to an actual club where you can get the best out of your players and you get players there who want to play. I think Wayne Rooney came out with some really interesting comments. Wayne Rooney came out and said, his goal is to become the Manchester United coach. He knows he's not ready for it yet. He got offered the Everton job, but he's managing so he can be the Manchester United coach. He then came out to say some interesting stuff about Marcus Rashford, saying that, all he has to do is sort of get his head out of his backside sort of thing. So almost lower his shoulders a little bit, because he can be the top goal scorer for Manchester United, and he should want to do that because of who he is. He's a Manchester boy, but he's just got to get his head a little bit straight. And I think that says a lot. If someone like Rooney can see that from the outside, and I know we try and compare, the old and the new, what the changing room environment's like, I think it's completely different. I think just because society's changed and players' attitudes have changed and the way players go about things, it's completely different. But I think it's so interesting that Rooney, someone like that, is looking in from the outside. And yes, he'd have a bit of inside scoop as well. But it says a lot. It says a lot of what's sort of missing. And it's nothing against Rashford, but apparently Arsenal was sort of coming in for a Rashford getaway. I don't see that happening. I want Rashford to stay. But at the same time, there's a lot of players that need to sort of start to switch on a little bit. Now, we're going to look at Ten Hag. Back to what we were sort of talking about. We know Ten Hag, he had that great time at Ajax in the Champions League run that with Donnie Van Der Beek and the likes of De Ligt and Frankie de Jong, Ziyech, Tadic, all those players that really became quite popular. We know he loves his attacking football. 4-3-3 can come back into a 4-4-2 as well. The double pivot in both these managers is extremely important. So I think the players that will thrive under a Ten Hag, someone like Fred. I don't know what you're thinking. Are you serious? Fred sucks. He's not as bad as what people think he is. Let me tell you a little something. He's not as bad as what people think he is. If he can do just the simple stuff, Fred doesn't stop running. He's one of these that plays and plays and plays and plays, and he's constantly putting effort. His problem is when he gets the ball for too long and he actually has to think about what he's doing. That's when the issue comes. If Fred needs to be a 2-3 touch player. That's it. Get the ball, receive it, lay it off. Win the ball back, get the ball, receive it, play it off. Once he does that, and once he just relaxes himself and he focuses on just the simple things, I think Fred's a gun. I think he's a very good player, which is why I think he will thrive under a Ten Hag, because that sort of midfield role where we need that constant pressure and that execution from defense to attack in that transition, I think Fred could be one of his most important players. And he's someone that we know loves to run and he can work very, very hard off the ball. I think the days of seeing Fred as a holding midfielder should be long gone. I think we know that that's not his position. So whether it means that we go Bruno, Fred, and hopefully a new holding midfielder, whether it be McTominay or fingers crossed a Declan Rice, I think he'll be massive in there. Another player, though, that will thrive under a Ten Hag, and it's an obvious one because we know that that's really where he got his name, and that's people where he started to realize who Donnie Van Der Beek is. It's Donnie Van Der Beek. I think Donnie Van Der Beek, he comes in with a familiar coach comes in, he starts to do well, he gets his confidence back, he's at Everton now, we've sent him out on loan. I think it's almost a refresh for Donnie, a refresh that's much needed, because if another manager comes in and is not really familiar, I think Donnie Van Der Beek's only probably got one more year left at Man United. But I think Ten Hag comes in, they're familiar with each other, they know how they play. Ten Hag knows what Donnie's like, knows how he can get the best out of Donnie, and hopefully it's smooth sailing from there. We'll then progress to another player that I think will be that Ten Hag could get the best out of. And it's a player who I also think will just get better on his own no matter which manager comes in, but it's Jadon Sancho. I think Jadon Sancho can be that sort of David Neres for Ten Hag in that Ajax team. I think Sancho, in the last month, has probably been the most positive player for Man United. Sancho's also got an England spot to fight for. And I think starting into the next season, where the World Cup obviously haven't started and Southgate will be watching these English players, I think Sancho's got to have a bit of a chip on his shoulder. He wasn't included in the squad for these qualifiers, But I think Sancho sits and goes, I deserve to be in that squad at least. Maybe not starting, but I deserve to be in that squad. And I think it's got to come with a bit of ferocity next season. And I think Ten Hag will be one of the important ones because he's going to use Sancho as a crucial player, not as just another number in the team. Now, we talked about Pochettino now as well. We said a double pivot was very important in Ten Hag sort of play style. It's even more important in a Pochettino play style. We look at the use of Verratti and Idrissa Gueye at PSG. Victor Wanyama back at his Tottenham days. He was important in that sort of system for Pochettino as well. I've got McTominay. I think McTominay will be someone who will play well under a Pochettino because he is someone who can break the lines and then take that next forward step. Similar to a Fred, the only problem is you don't want to use them back together. But as well, I don't think McTominay is a bad player. I just don't think he's good enough to be there on his own, if you know what I mean. I don't think he's good enough to hold that midfield on his own and for us to challenge for Premier League titles. I think if a Declan Rice comes in, Declan Rice thrives under a Pochettino. I think he's almost a Pochettino player. That holding midfielder that can break the lines, help the defense out, but then that transition from defense to attack, it's second to none. And I think that's where he'll benefit the most. I've got Marcus Rashford. I know we mentioned Marcus Rashford previously, a bit of a iffy topic sort of thing. I think Rashford will do well under a Pochettino if Pochettino is to come in. The other player that I think will do well, it's a Victor Lindelof, because I think he screams a bit of... Lindelof is a great centre-back. Honestly, I'll put it out there. I think Lindelof is a great centre-back. I'd much rather see Lindelof and Varane be our centre-back partners than Maguire and Varane. I think Lindelof is great. I think he's good with the ball at his feet. He's got a couple of mistakes in him, yes, I know. But I think he's great with the ball at his feet. I think he can get in for a tackle. And he's a bit of a leader. You know, he's captain of Sweden, so he's got that leadership in him. Now, if you ask me, Ten Hag or Pochettino, I said previously, Ten Hag is the coach. Pochettino is the manager that I wanted from the very beginning. The more time that's passed on, and yes, you know, PSG's results have probably played a bit of a factor in it, but I'd love to see Ten Hag as the manager of Manchester United. And it's a little bit different in the sense of I want to just see something change at United. I want to see Pochettino is probably the obvious one. But Ten Hag, it's been a while since we've gone and gotten a manager that, you know, just was sort of not out of the blue, but not massive in England and in the English sort of media. I think Ten Hag is a little bit similar to a Klopp signing when he first came to Liverpool. Now, Klopp, yes, he was at Borussia Dortmund and he had done well in Dortmund. He had built players, but Klopp wasn't really that. He wasn't that massive power star name before he came to Liverpool. He came, and it's a different scenario because United's got a team where we should be winning stuff right now, whereas Klopp came into a Liverpool team where he had a bit of time to push some of the players out, some of the deadwood out, bring some new players in, establish his system, whereas Ten Hag has got to come in and he's got to have to get results straight away. But I look at it as a similar sort of way. I look at Ten Hag and Klopp as similar sort of characters as well. Klopp a little bit more adventurous, but Ten Hag quite smart with his football, quite smart with his system. And I think having that sort of relationship already with Ralf Rangnick, I think can help him in the long run as well. So personally, I want Ten Hag. I'd love to see Ten Hag come in. There's Luis Enrique, the old Barcelona coach, and the Spanish coach that's been thrown around as well. But I don't think United will go for that. I think Ten Hag is pretty certain to become the next Manchester United coach. So let me know what you think down below in the comments. Ten Hag, is he the man to come in, or is Pochettino? We've got to take a quick break and we're going to get into Barcelona. Are they back? I don't know. Now, Barcelona, are they back, or are we just getting excited, or are we living up to the hype? Now, there's plenty of talk coming out. The president's coming out. They've signed Christensen and they've signed Kessié, the AC Milan midfielder. The president came out and said that. We can't say it, but we've signed a defender and a holding midfielder. Fabrizio Romano has come out and said that they've signed Christensen and they've signed Kessié. These are two very good signings. Kessié especially. He's a very, very good signing. As a United fan, I sit there and say, okay, hold on. We're desperate for a holding midfielder. Why the fuck did we not try to sign Kessié? I think it's great. I think Barcelona have done well. They've realised where they are and the position that they're in. They've realised that they can't go and sign, these crazy, outlandish players. I think Christensen is a player that will fit the La Liga. And I think he's a player that will sort of take over Piqué's role. And I think he'll do a good job. He's a Champions League winning centre-back. I think I think Chelsea wouldn't mind letting him go. At the same time, I think they would have liked to keep him if they could have. But financially and all that sort of stuff, I think they'd much rather keep Rudiger. But even Rudiger seems like he could be on his way out to Juventus or something like that. But Christensen, and Kessier, I think two great signings. I think that once they make it official, I think Kessier especially will be fantastic. And you look at those two players, which are the two players in those positions that have been at Barcelona for a long time and they've got to need replacing? Sergio Busquets and Gerard Piqué. So you look at that, they've established where they need to fill in the holes. I think Busquets and Piqué will still play on next year, so they're still going to be in their environment and probably take them under their wing. And I think Kessier and Christensen could be the centre backs for a very, very long time. Centre back, like Arujo at Barcelona, probably butchered his name, but a centre back in there who's been doing well recently last couple of weeks. I think again, Barcelona, they've done all right. They've done well since Xavi came in. They've done well to sort of scrape him out of where they were. I don't think it's all petals and roses and all that sort of stuff, but I think it's a much better direction. I think Barcelona back is a bit of a push, but I think Barcelona heading in the right direction is a fair enough call. I think Barcelona, they've done right stuff. Xavi coming in seems to have brought a bit of enthusiasm back. He's obviously a club legend. I think the likes of Pedri, he's an absolute gun. Probably one of the best players under the age of 21 in the world. He's a machine. So I think heading in the right direction, it's a fair call for Barcelona. But they're currently sitting third. I think they're getting the best out of the players that they brought in. You look at Aubameyang, and they had that great win against Real Madrid, 4-0 win. Aubameyang's got a bit of a chip on his shoulder. I think if he can keep on putting in performances, it's going to be good. I think Dembele coming back from injury and actually playing, after things were looking a little bit interesting between, his relationship with the club, I think Dembele and Aubameyang are building a little bit of a partnership. I think Dembele has actually been quite solid. He's put in a couple of very, very good performances the last couple of weeks as well. But I think just more importantly, the enthusiasm and sort of the cohesion and just the want to be there is massive. I think it's huge. I think Barcelona, they've done well. They're putting bums on seats once again. They've got a new sponsorship coming in with Spotify. I think the players that are getting game time, and it's always that period where when you're not playing well, you end up getting game time to young players. And because these young players are coming in unexperienced, they're not going to be as good as your massive world beaters in midfield and in striker and in centre back. So it's always that sort of pro and con that comes with not being a great team and having young players. But then you go to that period where you can bring in some good players to help these young kids build, but then these young kids have then gained that experience and they've got some game time under their belt and they've started to play. So Barcelona back, just relax. Barcelona in the right direction, I think we can say it. I think Barcelona are heading in the right direction. I think Barcelona back is still a little bit of a stretch. I think Real Madrid are still quite in front of them in the sense of where they are right now as a club and team-wise and ability-wise, but I think from Barcelona, where they started off the season with Messi leaving and the manager, all the situations there, to where they are now, it's much more of an improvement. But I still would just hold back on saying Barcelona's back. Right direction? Yes. Back? No. So, Barcelona fans, are you happy? What more do you want to see change of the club? Which players do you want to bring in? I think these two signings are massive. I think they're very, very good signings for Barcelona. And they're coming not at a massive fee either. So I think it's a positive direction for Barcelona. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, thank you for watching the One Nil Show. It's going to wrap us up for this week. You can also now check out these shows on Spotify. I've got to have them in the podcast section. It's not a podcast. It's a show. So thank you for watching. I'm Costa. This has been One Nil. Deuces.